I went out camping with my 4-year-old son recently, and we revisited a place that I used to camp in with my friends almost 20 years ago. So we were a bunch of maybe 5 or 6 boys. We were about 16 or 17 years old, and we decided to go on a hike and camp on the banks of a river. So we walked, and by about midday, we reached the top of the ridge. Uh, and then what happened was the path we'd been walking on kind of just disappeared. And so I suppose we were just standing there and talking. And coincidentally, there were two men sitting at the edge of the forest there and talking. I don't know who they were, I don't know what they talked about in the middle of the forest, but they were there talking. And after about 10 minutes of watching us, one of them, walks over to us and he just motions with his hand like this, says, "Follow me." He starts walking. There's no path. Obviously, he knows what he's doing, and we are desperately trying to, keep up with him. And he's just walking. Absolute silence. He doesn't answer a single question of us. He doesn't say anything. He's just walking, and this goes on for 4 hours. So he points to the river, and he turns around and walks away. And we're all like, stop, and we're fishing in our pockets to take out some money, to repay him in some modern way. And then we run behind him and, hey, take this cash, thanks a lot, and all that. And he just looks at us as if, we must be mad. And then he turns and walks away. And we are just stunned. And I mean, this incident moves me in many ways, but I just wanted to kind of talk to you about this guy and what his priorities were and what it means to us today. What could his priorities have been? Walking 8 hours through the forest to help a bunch of idiot boys. We were idiots. And expecting absolutely nothing in return. And not just expecting, but also accepting nothing in return. And he walks away. And it seems fairly incomprehensible to us today in the kind of urban world that we live in. And something about this kind of got me thinking about this whole idea of what it means to be human and these values of sharing, cooperation, and empathy. These things are a little bit in short supply today. Another thing that I read recently was a book by John Holt, who you might know. He was an American teacher and not an educator. And this book that I read was Instead of Education. I just finished it a little time ago. And I jotted down this paragraph. I'll just read it out. He talks about institutionalized man, for whom institutions and their needs have become more real and urgent and binding than the needs of living human beings. It is as if, in making ourselves into interchangeable mechanical parts of institutions, we have transferred to them our very souls. The institutions live, hunger, thirst, suffer, and die, and the people are robots. And he wrote this, I think, in the late 70s or early 80s. And I was thinking, how much more true these words ring today. We live our lives in institutions. Everything is kind of pre-designed. Our work is very much about, systems, efficiency, streamlining, whether it be, from agriculture to the way we do business. And I think we spend so much of time in institutions that we are habituated to them today. And institutions, corporations and stuff, and institutions and systems like that are essentially all about maximizing efficiency. And we have internalized these lessons about efficiency and how things need to be done faster and cheaper. In the process, I think in these past 1 or 2 generations, we've lost a lot of attributes that our ancestors would think of as essentially human. Connecting with the work that you're doing, understanding the consequences of your work. None of this is happening very much. We just don't have the time. And so this idea of connecting is what kind of interested me. And it's not in the Facebook sense. It's about when you connect with something, something deep within you resonates with something in the external world, and it becomes meaningful to you. Meaning is suddenly created. And I was wondering, is it possible to create systems, work environments, institutions where connection becomes the central core, the human core? When we sit around and try to make a decision, can we make decisions which talk about how our decision is going to affect our relationships with each other, with the work at hand? How is our work going to affect stuff that's happening outside? When we started working together 8 years ago, is David, Ganesh, Bhaskar, and I. We just kind of started working in a very, very ad hoc and organic manner with each other. We are all architects and builders. We make buildings. We design and build them. We don't have a name. We don't have an office. We rarely make drawings. We meet people's in houses, at cafes, and on site. And this approach has lent us tremendous amount of flexibility. There's no hierarchy. It's an extremely flat structure. We are just friends. And whenever there's some money that we've made and we need to share it, we don't share it by the amount of work each of us has done. We don't share it equally. We don't share it based on the quality of work each of us is doing. We kind of sit around and we share it based on need. So whenever we meet, we ask each other, who needs this money most? And astonishingly, the discussions have all been, tending towards, I want less, I want less. Let him have it, let him have it. And when we when we look at our process, we kind of laugh and say, well, what is this strange thing that we're doing, or what's this strange thing that's happening? But it's true, and it's happened, and it's worked. It's worked for about 8 years now, and it's worked, I think, because we trust each other, and we trust each other to be honest with themselves, ourselves, and each other. I think what we've tried to do is make money meaningful, like give it a qualitative feeling, a feel. Otherwise, it's really about this quantity. And if we link money to what it can do, as in, help us build a house, or put our child through school, or, buy us this, or some, medical expense that has come up, then money becomes real. And then when we talk to each other, we don't think about the numbers so much. We're thinking about how we can help each other, and it has worked. We have a big team working with us. Theoretically, we are the management and they are the workers. But the interesting thing is, the workers earn more than us. We, the managers, the so-called managers, they earn more than us, and they have chosen to earn less than what their peers in other construction companies earn. The other thing we've done is to get rid of vertical divisions. Like construction is a very specialized kind of field. So we don't have electricians, plumbers, masons, steel bar benders, concrete mixers, whatever it is. We all do all of that. And we learn. People who don't know, you spend time learning on the job. Because I'm interested in consequences. Because I'd like to think of myself as doing ecologically friendly architecture, like ecological architecture. So in terms of consequences, I've been thinking about this word sustainability. Sustainable. What is sustainable? How do we know something is sustainable? My family's house. It's not about all the work that I've been doing. But it also crystallizes a lot of these concepts. I did not work with my colleagues on this site. I worked with my wife and a bunch of people who helped us. Material I sourced for the house is essentially raw material or with very little processing. So we virtually harvested our house. And I was on site helping with the harvest. We harvested bamboo, we harvested wood, we harvested grass, we dug up earth. We actually knew every single person who was involved, from the cutting of grass to bringing the grass to our house to putting it on our roof. And now that grass protects us from the rain. And it's amazing because today you go to a shop and you buy something, you don't know where it's come from, you don't know what has gone into it, you don't know who has been involved. It's opaque. So in that sense, our house is transparent and it's intimate because we know it. It's almost human in that sense. Try to break the big team down into smaller, more human scale teams. Those smaller teams can kind of implement a more a human approach. Give everybody in the group a chance to, at least within each small group, try to have as flat a hierarchy as possible. Give each person a chance to connect with the work, at least at the beginning, kind of talk about what they want from, what they're looking forward to, what their expectations are from work, what are the things that they enjoy doing. I think people just given a chance to talk about the things that make them happy, that itself makes them happy to know that, there's a small group of people who are listening and that I'm not dispensable in that sense. My uniqueness has been stamped upon this group. To make the workplace a part of a person's life. It's not merely a place I come to earn some money so I can live my life elsewhere. The whole of the last century has been about division. I think we've got to start looking at some kind of synthesis, and it starts in our personal lives to try to see if we can break down these really sharp boundaries that we've created between work and family and holidays and and we're a different person in each of these lives, and it's a bit schizophrenic. And somehow, I think over a long period of time, this has a psychological effect on each one of us. And I think by synthesizing somehow these different aspects of our lives, it makes us a little more honest and human, and we present ourselves more honestly. These kind of human values we've got to pay more attention to them because the world is becoming very, very mechanical.